All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited to talk about Web3 gaming through different lens today, through data, not so much from my personal experience or my preference, but from what we learned from spending months and going through thousands of data points across different areas of Web3 gaming today. There we go. OK. All right. My name is George. I'm a core contributor for Game 7. If you're not familiar with Game 7, we're a community that brings builders and Web3 game developers together to accelerate the adoption of Web3 gaming. And I'm here today to talk to you about our latest report called The State of Web3 Gaming. Before we dive in, a few high-level topics about the report. It's an independent primary research by us. We asked our help from all our ecosystem partners and friends, but this was independent research that Game 7 conducted independently. We tried to capture 6 years of Web3 gaming. I mean, Web3 gaming is 6 years long. It might sound weird, but we have data points from 2017 till today. For this process, we have to go through close to 2,000 Web3 games, 1,000 funding rounds, 170 blockchain ecosystems. For me, this number is huge, but it's 100% true. And before we dive in, I want to also make a quick note into why do we believe this report is very important. And we identified 3 big reasons. Number one, there is a clear need in the space for credibly neutral and independent research. So far, we have seen fantastic content trying to solve the very same challenges and understand the same space through various approaches. But we think that there is still a gap for players to just report the truth, try to measure and report the truth without necessarily having an angle. Put simply, without selling you something. This report is not about arguing chain A is better than chain B, game A is better than game B, whatever. It's more about, OK, here's what we know, here's what we don't know, and we ask for your feedback to potentially cover the gap in the future. The second reason was close to overemphasis today on on-chain data. And don't get me wrong, on-chain data are the future, but I'm not sure we're ready yet to capture the truth using just on-chain data. The vast majority of Web3 games today are still in development. Of course, building a game is hard. It takes years. No one expects that from announcement to going live, it will take like 6 months. And for that reason, we think it's more fair to combine on-chain data, wallets, volume, token prices, whatever that is, with also off-chain characteristics of those experiences. So by this report, we don't argue whether it's on-chain or off-chain, but we say to people, OK, right next to on-chain data in your chart, have a look into some other characteristics of the wider Web3 gaming experience. And lastly, we wanted to focus slightly more to the gaming aspects rather than the blockchain. We are excited about the prospects of blockchain technology, of course. We have been around for years, but a Web3 game is still a game. So we need to also pay attention to the classic, the quote-unquote boring things that makes a game outside of the Web3 technology and the extra layer of complexity and opportunity that introduces. The report is big, so for today, I just pick a few key themes, some things that I found very interesting and I wanted to share with you, and then some takeaways for next year. Let's start with the high-level picture. Web3 gaming, it's growing, it's not growing. The truth is that Web3 gaming is still growing. Yes, despite all the not-so-great things that happened in the macro environment last year, Web3 gaming is going nowhere. It's growing probably slower, but definitely growing, and we can see this across different indicators. The number of games, as you saw, of course, last year we definitely had a major impact for a number of reasons that led many teams to exit the space, but you also have a very promising number of new games entering per year. And even until Q3 2023, we had close to more than 200 blockchain games entering the space despite all the conditions, still fully committed into betting on a Web3 future for gaming. We can see a similar view also on the investments front. Yes, someone might say, OK, what a correction. Oh, my God, whatever. What I'm seeing here is 1.5 billion invested until Q3. 1.5 billion in this environment is, for me, a super promising number. Most likely, it means that investors are picky. Investors try to adjust their own assumptions based on the macro environment for sure, but this is definitely a vote of confidence still on the space. Analyzing the geography of the market overall, I don't think no one should be surprised with this look. We didn't have the data so far, but whoever is relevant to the gaming space over the past 20 years, I mean, seeing APAC and the Asia region as a key one is not a surprise. What might be a surprise to a few is that while the US, as we will see in the next slide, is still the most dominant market, APAC, as a part of the world, is the biggest, hosts most Web3 game developers. Just to clarify, this chart shows where game developers are based. Does not talk about users, about profits, about revenues, about token activity. It's just where most Web3 games are based today. If we split this on a country level, again, not big surprises. The US remains to be the most important market, the largest market for Web3 game devs. But this year, until Q3, we saw a great rise for South Korea and Japan. I mean, for South Korea, that was impressive indeed, from 16 to 27%, almost right next to the percentage of new games that came from the US. And as I mentioned also, Japan showed a great interest. When looking into the teams that got funded and where those based, the situation is different. The vast majority of Web3 funding going to teams based in the US. Many ways to read this chart. I think easier access to funding, and also the fact that Asia has more established game developers that might not be in a hurry to raise right now could potentially explain this chart. But it's clear that the US dominates the Web3 gaming funding for sure, both on the supply and the demand side. All right, yeah, very interesting chart as well. So this is a chart that shows the number of new blockchain networks that are launching per year. You can see with the different colors whether networks are gaming specific, so they just exist for gaming, or they have some general purpose, and gaming is one of the verticals they serve. And I don't see any bear market into this chart, as you can see. Even last year, even this year, we had more than 80 networks. These numbers are already outdated from the time we published the report. Let's say 3 weeks ago, we had at least 5 more chains being announced. And I don't think we will see a stop into this. New networks are not the solution. Networks are not the chain. The content is more important, arguably, for blockchain gaming. But for me, this is still a very promising indicator. Different teams trying to solve the very same problems through different approaches. So yeah, more people trying to do new things to improve the experience for Web3 game developers. I think this is very promising. And it will continue to grow, most likely, into 2024. Talking about the composition of Web3 games, we try to better understand the production quality. And we, on purpose, did not use the term quality because whether you're AAA or AA does not mean you're going to have a fun game or not. But we noticed that there is a tendency in the Web3 space to say, I'm building a AAA game, like an obsession. Like, if it's not AAA, it's not good. So we try to, again, use a consistent methodology to try to identify from all the Web3 games how many would look something similar to what the mainstream stage would call AAA. And of course, that's just a methodology. You might agree or disagree, and we can optimize this. But in short, we try to see games that have both existing experience building AAA titles, support of a publisher or a strategic partner to help you commercialize, and access to significant funding to make it work. And based on our number, close to from 1 to 6%, you would see that 6% of the current roster of Web3 games are close to what we would call triple or AA. Again, I don't think this is a surprise. If I ask my friends from the mainstream gaming space, most likely they would say to me, to be AAA, you have to already have released a AAA title. Otherwise, you're not a AAA. So I don't think this is a surprise, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to look ourselves in the eye and stop being obsessed by calling ourselves AAA just because we're using Unreal Engine 5 or we have a great fidelity and graphics. Um, this chart presents the number of migrations for Web3 game developers from chain 1 to chain 2. So for any reason, it can be financial, technical, whatever that is, game developers at some point, they say, I pick one chain one day, tomorrow I think my needs will be best served into another chain. And as you saw this year, the number was at an all-time high of 65 games that at least publicly announced that for any reason, again, they're moving from chain 1 to chain 2. If we try to answer the question, why is this happening, 2 years ago, my honest answer would be, OK, a game developer found better incentives to another chain, and they decided to do the switch. Today, I don't think that's the case. It's not like blockchain networks are in a hurry to deploy capital and just onboard any game developer to Web3 gaming. I think this number is mainly driven by the maturity of many scalability solutions. And put simply, right now, we have so many options. It's not like you have chain 1, chain 2, or nothing. You have literally hundreds of chains to select. And there is a good chance that game developers now are picking based on a combination of commercial, of the commercial opportunity to build on a specific chain or an ecosystem, as well as the suitability of the technology with the needs of their games. I believe that's the last slide for the, from the report. And I want to talk about distribution as well, which arguably remains a strategic challenge for Web3 game developers today. What this chart tells you is like close to 6 out of 10 Web3 games are excluded from what we would call mainstream distribution. Think of Steam, Epic, Google Play, Apple Store, whatever that is. And so if we take away Web2 distribution, mainstream distribution platforms, you have 2 options. You can go by yourself, which works if you already have, I don't know, 200,000 of users ready to follow you to your Web3 journey. Or you have to use a Web3 platform that is natively compatible with the technology and the value prop of Web3 gaming. You might see that 40% of Web3 games today that are playable are using a Web2 platform, but even that comes with trade-offs. So today, you can indeed list on Epic. Epic, I believe, grew from 2-3 games in the beginning of the previous year to having something like 50 or 80 games, 80 Web3 games listed right now. But still, this comes with limitations. Even Google Play, that indeed got a bit more optimistic about Web3 games, game developers have to make 2 versions of games. One to be compatible with the mainstream platform, and one to be the full degen Web3, whatever you call it. I don't think this is realistic as a scalability solution moving forward. So solving distribution definitely remains a key challenge for the majority of Web3 game developers. Now, for the next close to 7 minutes, I want to talk to you about some takeaways for the next year. These are not predictions, but these are more things that we believe will become true based on the data we have. Let's start with the role of the term of blockchain networks. So blockchain networks today are commodities. Does this mean blockchain A or blockchain B is not important? Absolutely not. But building a blockchain, deploying a blockchain to your needs, deploying 10 blockchains that have characteristic A, B, or C, is something that is not super hard this year and definitely won't be hard in 2024. The blockchain is not the end game for game developers or whatever. The blockchain is how you realize the value and the value prop of blockchain technology. But the chain itself, today, it's easy, and that's a great success of our wider ecosystem. So networks probably will be commodities. Communities, the content, and the ecosystem you have is absolutely not. This is how you defend your title. And I think this represents the need for all of us to focus more on the content layer and try to, instead of selling how I'm doing things, what I'm selling to you. It's about the game. It's not about which chain or the technology of this chain. It's like building a game and selling to your gamers the fact you're using AWS. I mean, you're not excited about AWS, you average gamer? I believe no. So we definitely think this will be a key theme for next year. And as you can see from this industry map, first of all, there are so many chains today. And again, that's a good thing. It means that we try to solve a big problem. We try to tap on a great opportunity from a number of different ways. But if you see the third column, the frameworks, these are tools that allow you to deploy your own chain easily and build your app chain, a chain just for your own ecosystem of games or whatever. These frameworks are super popular today and will become more popular because more game developers say, OK, I know exactly what I want to do, and I would like to build my own environment based on my own needs. But as you can see, coming back to my point, building a chain is not the main thing. The main thing is to get users, have great content, and build an ecosystem and a community around your experience. Second takeaway, that blockchain scalability and innovation is wearing different hats in 2024. A few years back, the key problem would be Bitcoin is Bitcoin, Ethereum is slow, we need scalability. That's it. In 2024, there are many very promising technical themes that could solve solutions, like rollups and all the subtypes of rollups. I'm not going to talk too much about it. The modular thesis overall, the growth of the ZK stack across many ecosystems, the use of layer 3s to build on top of existing layer 2s, data availability networks and other options for people that they want to deploy their own chain, proto-dark something for Ethereum that would make rollups way more efficient, Fire Dancer, and many more. In 2024, we have many reasons from a technical standpoint to be excited about the future of blockchain gaming. And for me, that's good because it means less of a risk. You don't bet on just one of those. Any of those can be enough to grow the space. Most likely, many of those will be super successful and will drive great growth for the space. Next takeaway, this year, we have the chance to actually play good Web3 games. And when I say good, I mean, in the past 2 years, or let's say 3, we saw some fantastic teams. They raised money, they have great experience, but they said, OK, we're building a game. It will be ready in 2-3 years, sorry. And this made us make assumptions about what is the tech stack we need, what Web2 gamers need, what Web3 gamers need. Now we have the chance to actually test this out. A few examples from Hilmar, from other side of Yuga, Illuvium, like I think is playable like a few days back on Epic Games, Shrapnel, Grid, Star Atlas, and many more. This is just an example list of good IP that I don't want to call it AAA or AA. I don't think that's the matter, but we will see how these titles, again, perform both to Web2 and Web3 gamers, and we will have the chance to improve based on data, not based on assumption. And continuing on the same stream, we will also see many experiments by existing AAA players. I think we passed the phase where blockchain gaming was a sub-budget item to the R&D of AAA developers and publishers. And many, many companies, the list is indeed huge. I just picked a few ones as examples. All these companies are doing different experiments with different chains, testing different things. And again, we will have the chance to actually test things and not assume things. For me, that's very important and can de-risk our growth trajectory for blockchain gaming, not just for the next year, but for the next 10 years. So in a nutshell, the Web3 gaming in 2024, for me, it's a fantastic opportunity to move from ideation, blockchain gaming will be, or this is what gamers would like to do with NFTs or smart contracts, to move from ideation and wishful thinking to actually validate our assumptions by testing the tech stack with actual gamers, Web2 or Web3. Again, I think this is a fantastic opportunity for us, not necessarily to win right now. I can say to you that whatever you show will be the future of Web3 gaming. But there is a very strong chance that the actual feedback we're going to get from gamers playing Web3 games this year would allow us to move way, way faster. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Not yet. So the report is quite big, actually. It's close to 60 slides. There's no way I could cover this in 20 minutes. So I highly suggest anyone to download the report on our website. I will be around, so happy to answer any questions you might have about the report and get your feedback on your research needs of moving forward. What are the things that you would like to see in the context of Web3 gaming? Thank you so much. Yeah.